Most people bring their golden retriever puppy home at 8 weeks old. The first few days, they take pictures. The first few weeks, they let the puppy adjust. The first few months, they assume training comes later. And here's what nobody told them. The most important window in their dog's entire development closed at 14 weeks. Not closed as in harder. Closed as in the brain physically reorganized itself. And certain things that could have been effortless will now require 10 times the work. If you have a golden retriever right now, puppy or adult, you need to know exactly where they are in this timeline, because what you do in the next few weeks, or what you should have done months ago, determines more about your dog's lifelong behavior than any training technique you will ever learn. I'm Emma, and what I'm going to share with you isn't about training commands. It's about developmental neuroscience and why the timing of what you do matters more than what you actually do. I've seen owners spend years trying to fix behaviors in adult dogs that would have taken 2 weeks to prevent in a puppy. And I have seen owners panic about having an older dog, convinced they missed everything, when the most important interventions were still completely available to them. The truth about timing and dog development is more nuanced than almost anyone explains. So let's go through it properly, starting with what's actually happening inside your dog's brain during the first months of life and what that means for every decision you make going forward. Here's the first thing most people get wrong. They think the critical training window is about teaching commands. Sit, stay, come, heel. It isn't. Commands can be taught at any age. An 8-year-old golden retriever can learn to sit on command in a single afternoon. That's not what closes. What closes is something much more fundamental. Between 3 and 14 weeks, a puppy's brain is running a very specific program. It's scanning the world and asking one question over and over. What is normal? What sounds are normal? What types of people are normal? What surfaces? What vehicles? What experiences? And critically, what is safe to engage with versus what should trigger alarm? The answers to those questions get locked in. After 14 weeks, the brain stops building the foundation and starts operating on it. This is called the socialization window, and understanding what it actually means changes everything about how you approach the first months. A puppy that experiences gentle handling, different environments, unfamiliar people, car rides, other animals, and varied sounds before 14 weeks will process all of those things as normal for the rest of its life. A puppy that doesn't necessarily develop fear. They develop a hair trigger. Every unfamiliar thing requires more energy to process, more uncertainty, more potential anxiety. And with golden retrievers specifically, a breed built for confidence and social ease, an under-socialized dog becomes a walking contradiction. All the friendliness in the genetics, but a nervous system underneath that never got calibrated correctly. That's not a training problem. That's a hardware problem, and hardware is significantly harder to change than software. But here's where it gets more complicated. Because inside the socialization window, there's a period that most breeders never mention, and it's the period that causes the most lasting damage when handled incorrectly. Between 8 and 11 weeks, exactly when most puppies arrive in their new home, there is a fear imprint period. Whatever frightens a puppy severely during this specific window has a disproportionate impact on their long-term behavior compared to the exact same experience at any other age. A single traumatic event during these weeks, a harsh correction, a loud accident, being overwhelmed by too many strangers at once, can create a fear response that takes months or years to fully work through in an otherwise healthy dog. This isn't a flaw in the breed, it's evolutionary biology. The same mechanism that once kept wild dogs alive is working in your puppy right now. So what does this mean if your golden is already past 14 weeks? What if they're 6 months old, or 2 years, or 5? Here's where the conversation has to get honest. The socialization window closed. You cannot reopen it. But the story doesn't end there. And this is exactly the part that almost nobody explains correctly. What you cannot do with an adult dog is make new experiences feel automatically normal the way the window allowed. What you absolutely can do is teach the dog to tolerate, engage with, and eventually enjoy things that once felt uncertain through a completely different neurological mechanism. It is slower, it requires more patience and more consistency. But the ceiling for an adult golden retriever is considerably higher than most people believe, because this breed carries a level of cognitive flexibility that most other breeds simply don't have. There is one specific mistake I see constantly, and it does more damage than almost anything else. A family gets a golden retriever puppy. The puppy is adorable and naturally compliant, and everything seems easy. So they wait until the dog is older, until they finish their vaccine schedule, until life settles down. And then at 6 months, they start formal training, and they are genuinely shocked by what they find. Because at 6 months, a second developmental shift occurs. The adolescent brain gets flooded with hormones. The dog that seemed naturally calm is suddenly pulling on the leash, ignoring recall, and testing boundaries that didn't seem to exist before. And the owners think, what happened to my dog? Nothing happened. The puppy became an adolescent on schedule, the window where compliance came easily, where new experiences were absorbed openly. That window closed while they were waiting for the right moment. So, if your puppy is under 16 weeks right now, your one job, the only job that actually matters at this stage, is not teaching commands. It is exposure. Gentle, positive, controlled exposure to as many different people, surfaces, sounds, environments, and experiences as possible. Not overwhelming, not forcing. Let the puppy investigate at their own pace. Pair every new experience with something they love. The goal is not to teach them that the world is safe. The goal is to let the brain record the world as normal data, because that is literally what the developing brain is doing during this window. Commands will come later, and when the foundation is right, they come quickly and easily. What you are building right now is the operating system. Get it right, and everything that follows runs on it smoothly. And if your golden is already past that window, months or years old with gaps in their early experience, here is your actual path forward. Stop trying to socialize them the way you would a puppy. That approach doesn't work the same way and can backfire. Instead, use systematic desensitization. Expose them to challenging things at a distance and an intensity level where they can stay calm and take treats. Not at full intensity, not forcing through the discomfort. At the very edge of their comfort zone, barely, with enormous amounts of positive reinforcement at every step. This takes longer because the brain is no longer building new baseline assumptions the way a puppy's does. It's learning exceptions to rules that are already established, but exceptions become habits. Habits become defaults. I have watched anxious adult Goldens transform significantly over 6 to 12 months of this kind of consistent, intentional work. Here is what I want you to understand above everything else in this video. The question isn't whether you missed the window. The question is, what are you doing with the time you have right now? With puppies under 14 weeks, every single week is irreplaceable and will never come back. With adolescent dogs, the chaos is temporary and consistency is everything. With adult dogs, the work is slower, but the payoff is real and deep. The dogs that become extraordinary companions are not the ones whose owners had perfect timing. They're the ones whose owners refuse to stop investing regardless of where they started. The window matters enormously. It is not the whole story. Here's your action plan. If your golden is under 16 weeks, Exposure is your training right now. Make it positive, varied, and daily. If your golden is in the 6-month adolescent phase, stay consistent. Don't panic at the pushback, and understand this phase ends. If your golden is an adult with gaps in early socialization, systematic desensitization, patience, and a long-term mindset. And if you want a complete week-by-week guide covering each of these stages in detail, it's completely free at myfurkid.online. Golden Retriever. Everything organized by age and situation. The link is in the pinned comment right below this video. If this gave you a clearer picture of where your dog is right now and what to do next, subscribe. We put out new content every week. I'll see you in the next one.